Hey there, how's it going? Ignore the disaster that is the back of my car, and also ignore the fact that you can hear my air conditioning because it is hot as shit outside. And as much as I love you all and I love good audio quality, 83 degrees is not the temperature I would like to be. And if I am that temperature, I will be hotter than that because I melt. I also did in fact wear long sleeves. Listen, I have very limited professional clothing. I wanted to sit down and just chittity chat for a minute about the dark sides of freelancing. Now I know what you're thinking, Tamika, you've quite literally told us for 2 years you want to be a freelancer. I'm aware of what I've told you, and I'm aware that I still continue on to do it even though there are cons to it. There's cons to literally everything you do in life, and you have to weigh your pros and cons. And essentially what I'm about to tell you are all the cons and the negative parts of being self-employed and being a freelancer. I am not a full-time freelancer. Let's go ahead and make that very clear. Do I make money as a freelancer? Yes. Do I make enough to cover my life completely as a freelancer? No, but stay tuned because you will be seeing another video of everything I've made this year as a full-time, or not a full-time freelancer, as a freelancer. There is nothing else that I would rather do with my life. There is nothing else I'd rather do. I love being a photographer. I love being a content creator. I love being a creative, an artist. I love doing that, and there's nothing else I would rather do. But I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you there were some cons that you had to kind of know about going into it, because I feel like no matter how much you say there are cons to something, people don't really want to believe that there are cons to things. And I was one of those people. So like, let me just throw myself under the bus real quick. I was one of them. I was like, no, there can't be cons. Like, it's the life, baby. No 9 to 5. No boss man telling you what to do. No fear of, you know, someone not liking that you're gay and laying you off. Ideal world. Okay, but seriously though, all that shit's still there. Let's talk about that though. Like, I will try to not be super chaotic, but like, I can't make any guarantees at this rate. You know how I am. Let's start with the last one. The fear of being laid off because someone doesn't like you or because you're queer, which people find their way around. I know people are gonna say, but Tamika, that's literally illegal. I'm aware it's illegal, but there's still loopholes. People figure out how to do this shit. You know it as well as I do. As a queer person, I know this. Yeah, that's still a thing that I deal with. Like, I'm a freelancer, but someone has to make a decision to hire me, and I live in the South-ish. In rural Kentucky, where everybody is homophobic and loves Donald Trump. So, you know, the alternative lesbian is not the ideal candidate for being hired, which, it's whatever. I am okay with it. I know my target, and my target knows me, and my target does not care that I love women. They just don't care. And that's fine. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. But I would be lying to you if I told you that that is not something you still deal with as a freelancer. You're still going to deal with discrimination in some form or fashion. Someone is going to choose not to work with you because they find out that you are queer, they don't like, you know, something about you, they're racist, they're whatever it is. Like, there are going to be people who decide not to work with you because of that reason. And it's okay. Like, it sucks. And it is something that is just should not be a thing, but it is a thing we deal with. And, you know, it's just part of it. And there are enough clients out there that it doesn't matter. Like, does it matter? Yes, people shouldn't be shitty, but does it matter long term with your career? No, you're gonna be fine. 2 things that I know people talk about all the time: health insurance sucks, and taxes. Those 2 things suck. I'm not gonna go on about them. We live in the good US of A, where we pay a shit ton of money in taxes and we get no health insurance. So, I mean, that sucks, and it is the reality of being a freelancer, and that is why we charge so damn much, because we have to pay for health insurance, and we also have to pay for fucking taxes, and our taxes go basically to everything. So, I'm not gonna harp on that too long. We all know how much taxes suck. The thing though that I feel like we don't really talk about is the fact that we have to be our biggest critic and our biggest hype man. These are the 2 things I really feel like don't really get drove home enough. Is not only do I have to be my biggest critic and look at every image I take and really, like, I mean, strip it down as much as I possibly can. I have to strip it down and say, this was good, this was bad, this is what I can improve, I need to learn how to do this better, I need to practice this skill, I need to do this, I was a little awkward during this part, maybe I need to work on this. I have to go through every single session I do, look at every single image that I have, and then I have to go back and just tear it apart. I have to tear it apart, because the only way I can improve is by seeing my weaknesses, acknowledging them, and making changes to better myself as a photographer and as a creative. And that sucks. That is hard. And people don't understand that when you're a freelancer, you have to do that. You don't have anybody else going behind you and saying, this sucked, you need to do this better, this was not how that needed to be done, this is your evaluation, this is what's wrong, this is what you need to improve on this year, this is what you need to improve on because these are the reasons, you know, things aren't happening. And you have to realize that every decision you make is on you. So if your abilities are not improving, that's not on anyone but you. If your client experience isn't good enough, people aren't going to recommend you. That is going to then in turn affect everything else in your business. If your abilities aren't good enough, you're not going to get hired no matter how cheap you are. It's a constant cycle of, you have to constantly be your biggest critic. Are my prices good? Is my marketing good? Is my work good? Is my work-life balance good? Do I need to work more? It is constant and it doesn't stop. And I don't know if people really realize that. Like, you never hit a point in your career where you're like, you know, I think I did pretty good with that and I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, I'm always finding stuff wrong with my work. And my girlfriend thinks that I'm just really hard on myself, but the reality is I'm just very critical of my work because I want to do this full time. It's not to be negative and it's not to say like I'm not good enough for this. It's to say I do think I'm good enough for this, but I need to get better so I can prove it to everybody else. It's basically a not fake it till you make it, but you work until you do it. Like, you criticize yourself and you work so hard so that you can show everyone else you can do it. It is exhausting. It is so exhausting, but the positives do outweigh that. I will say that. And then the other thing, and the exact opposite of being your biggest critic, you also have to be your biggest hype man. There is no one in the world that is going to hype you up more than yourself. My girlfriend tries. She thinks she is doing the most, and she absolutely is. But I have to also be my biggest hype man. I have to, without a doubt, go up to every single human. Every time I meet someone, oh, I'm a photographer, I'm a photographer, I'm a photographer, I'm a photographer. Hire me, I'm a photographer. Do you all have a wedding vendors list? Hire me, I'm a photographer. Like, I literally go to things and I'm just like, oh, do you have a preferred vendors list? I didn't know you all were a wedding venue. Like, I have to constantly pitch myself. It is exhausting. Everyone I meet, I'm a photographer. Everyone I interact with, oh yeah, I'm a photographer. It is exhausting. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't hype yourself up, people won't hire you. And I have to do this constantly, even when I feel like I'm shitty. Even when I feel like I'm shitty, I have to hype myself up. I have to hype myself up on social media. I have to hype myself up in person. I have to hype myself up constantly. It is exhausting. It is something that never stops. Marketing never stops. And it is a hustle. It is a hustle. And me and Ashley, if you don't know, Ashley's my bean. I love her so much. We have both had this conversation where I have a toxic relationship with hustle culture, but she also knows that there's a fine line for me, and I have been working on work-life balance and trying to give myself rest, because if I don't rest, I can't give the best to my clients. And she knows the hustle that goes into this. It's a lot. People just, I don't think they understand. I think they think, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. But you know, like the meme that it's like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5, so now I work 24/7. Literally, it's me. I work 24/7. I go home, edit pictures. I'm on my lunch, I film. On my, you know, on my weekends, I do photo shoots. I wear 7 million hats. I literally was, over Memorial Day weekend, was responding to a client, 20 emails back and forth. They decided not to book. And it is exhausting when you have a client go back and forth that much correspondence, and then they decide not to book. There are a lot of dark sides to freelancing. There's a lot of cons to being your own boss and pursuing a non-traditional career path and trying to be self-employed. But there's a lot of positives too, and I feel like even though this is the dark side of freelancing, I feel like I wouldn't want it any other way. There's nothing else I'd rather do than be a photographer, be a creative, be an artist, sell my work, and just know that I'm creating art for someone, and know that I put everything I had into that and someone valued my ability. And I think that's just, there's nothing better, even though sometimes it blows. I have decided to start a series on my channel called the Freelance Diaries. This is literally just what it sounds like. It's diary entries, but in video form, where I talk about my journey into being a freelance photographer and creative, in just a freelancer in the creative world. I do so many things that fall into the umbrella of being a freelancer that I don't necessarily want to just say one thing that is what I do, because there are several aspects in my business that, you know, kind of contribute to the income that I make. I'm not only a portrait photographer, I'm an artist because I create art with film photography, and I am a photojournalist. I still do journalism freelance work. You know, I just did a story like last week, and I am looking to be paid out. Like, I have a decent check coming my way probably in July. And I also, you know, I do YouTube, so I have YouTube AdSense and affiliate income. So I have like so many sources of income that I have that all contribute into my business. You know, I don't want to look back and not remember these steps in my process. And if there's anybody watching out there that even remotely cares or remotely is interested in starting your own business, I want to do it for you all. But I want to do this for the version of myself that wanted this content before, that wanted to see, you know, the journey of becoming a freelancer and, you know, creating a life that you love, and, you know, doing it through art and creativity and just all of the things that we're told by society we can't do. If you want to follow along, feel free. There's a subscribe button down there. If you don't like this content, that's okay. You don't have to watch it. This is honestly for me, and then if it helps anybody else, that is also a bonus. So I will see y'all in my next video. If you're still here, go ahead and leave me a camera or a pen emoji down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.